I shouldn't have taken the last train that night. The station was almost empty when I got there. It was 12:18 a.m., and the wind kept pushing trash across the platform like something invisible was running past. The electronic board above flickered, buzzing faintly. Only one train was scheduled. Line 7, last departure, 12:30 a.m. I remember thinking how quiet everything felt. Too quiet. No announcements, no distant rumble of other trains, just the hum of the lights overhead. When the train finally arrived, it didn't screech like they usually do. It just slid into the station. The doors opened. No one got off. I stepped inside. The car was empty. The lights inside were dimmer than normal, flickering slightly. The seats looked older than they should have been, fabric worn thin, metal handles slightly rusted. I sat near the middle. The doors closed behind me with a dull thud. The train started moving. No conductor's voice, no automated announcements, just the low metal hum of wheels against track. After a few minutes, I noticed something strange. We hadn't stopped at the first station. I leaned forward, checking the map above the door. The lights that usually tracked each stop weren't on. The windows were dark. Not city dark, just black, like we were moving through a tunnel with no lights at all. My reflection stared back at me in the glass, but it looked slightly delayed. When I tilted my head, it moved a second too late. I froze. Then I told myself it was the lighting, old train, weird angles. The train slowed suddenly. Finally, it stopped. The doors slid open, but there was no platform outside. Just darkness. Thick, solid black, like the train had stopped in the middle of nothing. The air inside the car felt colder. Then, I heard it. Footsteps. From the next carriage. Slow. Dragging slightly. I stood up. "Hello?" I called. No answer. The footsteps continued, getting closer. One step, pause. Another step. I moved toward the connecting door between cars. It was slightly open. The light in the next carriage flickered. I pushed the door wider. The next car was empty too, but the seats were torn open, foam spilling out. The windows were cracked, and at the far end of the carriage, someone was sitting, back turned to me, wearing a dark jacket. I felt relief for half a second. "Hey," I said, "do you know what's going on?" The person didn't respond, didn't move. I walked closer. Each step felt louder than it should have. When I was only a few seats away, the train lights cut out complete darkness. I couldn't even see my hands. Then, the train lurched forward again. The lights flickered back on. The seat at the end was empty, but the window beside it had writing on it. Condensation from breath. 3 words. "You missed it." My chest tightened. Missed what? The train began to slow again. Another stop. The doors opened. This time I saw something. A platform. Dimly lit, but the station name sign was cracked, half the letters missing. I stepped toward the door, and that's when I saw it. On the platform. Paramedics. Police. Flashing red and blue lights reflecting off something metallic. A crowd standing behind tape, and in the middle of it, a body, covered with a white sheet. Near the edge of a different platform, the digital clock above them read 12:31 a.m., 1 minute after the last train was scheduled to depart. I stepped off the train. No one reacted. No one looked at me. I walked closer, my heart pounding. A police officer pulled the sheet back slightly, just enough for me to see the face. My face. Eyes closed. A dark bruise on my temple, like I'd fallen or been pushed. The officer spoke to someone beside him. Witness said he slipped running for the last train. The wind howled through the station. I turned slowly. The train I'd been on was still there, doors open, waiting. Inside, I saw someone sitting in my seat, watching me. It was me, but pale, expressionless. The doors began to close. I ran toward them, but my feet felt slow, heavy. The doors shut with a final metallic thud. The train pulled away, disappearing into darkness. And suddenly, the platform lights flickered out. The sirens faded. The station dissolved into shadow. I was alone, standing on a platform that no longer existed. In the distance, I heard the rumble of a train, approaching, again, and I understood. I hadn't taken the last train home. I had become part of it. Now, every night at 12:30, when someone runs for the final departure, they see me sitting inside, watching, waiting, and sometimes, if they miss it, they don't miss it alone. I took the night shift at Briarwood Storage because it was quiet. Too quiet, actually. The facility sat on the edge of town, behind a dead shopping plaza where half the stores were boarded up. During the day, it looked normal. Rows of metal storage units, security cameras, keypad gate. At night, though, it felt different. The metal doors would creak when the temperature dropped. The wind would slide through the narrow lanes between units and sound like whispering. But it was just wind. At least, that's what I kept telling myself. My shift started at 10 p.m. Lock the front office, check the gate, do 2 patrols before 3 a.m. Easy money. Around midnight, the rain started. Not heavy, just steady enough to tap against the metal roofs and echo through the lot. At 12:42 a.m., the gate alarm buzzed. I frowned. No one had the access code except renters. I checked the monitor. The gate was open, but no car had entered. Just empty road beyond it. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped outside. "Hello?" I called. The rain answered. I walked to the gate. It was fully open. The keypad screen was blank, like someone had unplugged it. I reset it manually and closed the gate. Probably a glitch, I thought. Old wiring. Back in the office, I poured coffee and tried not to think about it. At 1:15 a.m., my radio crackled. Static. Then, a voice. Soft. Unit 37. I froze. We didn't use radios for tenants, and I was the only employee on shift. "Who is this?" I asked. Silence. Then again. Unit 37. The voice sounded close, like it wasn't coming through the radio at all. I checked the rental list. Unit 37 had been empty for months. The renters stopped paying. No contact. No forwarding address. We were supposed to clear it out next week. The rain grew heavier. I don't know why I grabbed the master key. Maybe because ignoring it felt worse. The rows of units stretched into darkness as I walked. My flashlight beam bounced across numbers painted on metal doors. The wind picked up. I stopped at 37. The lock was still there, untouched. I stood there listening. Nothing. Just rain hitting metal. I told myself I was being stupid. I slid the master key into the lock. It turned too easily, like it had already been unlocked. The metal door rattled as I lifted it, slowly. It screeched upward. The unit was empty. Completely empty. Concrete floor, bare walls. No boxes, no furniture, no dust even. like it had never been rented. I exhaled sharply, almost laughing at myself. Then I noticed something. The floor was wet, not from rain. There were footprints leading from the back wall to where I was standing and stopping, right at my boots. My breath fogged in the air, but it wasn't cold enough for that. The radio crackled again. Behind you. I didn't want to turn around. Every instinct told me not to, but I did, slowly. The lane between the storage rows was empty, but at the far end, under the flickering security light, someone was standing, tall, still. I couldn't see a face, just a silhouette. Rain fell through it, not around it, through it. My flashlight flickered. The radio dropped from my hand. When I looked back at Unit 37, the inside wasn't empty anymore. There was something in the corner, a folding chair, and on it, a security jacket. My jacket, with my name stitched above the pocket. Wet footprints surrounded it. I stumbled backward. "This isn't real," I muttered. The silhouette at the end of the lane tilted its head. Then the security lights went out. All of them. Darkness swallowed the lot. I ran. I don't remember locking the unit. I don't remember closing the gate. I just remember reaching the office and slamming the door behind me. The monitors were on. Every camera showed static, except one. Camera 12. Unit 37. The door was open, and someone was standing inside, wearing a security jacket, facing the camera. The face slowly lifted. It was mine, but the eyes were wrong. Too dark, too empty. The screen flickered, then went black. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Unknown number. I answered without thinking. A calm voice spoke. "You abandoned your post." My stomach dropped. "I'm still here," I whispered. A pause. Then, "No," the voice said. "You left at 12:42. That was when the gate alarm first buzzed. The lights in the office flickered, and I remembered. Headlights in the rain, brakes too late, metal folding, silence. I turned slowly toward the window. The parking lot outside was empty. No car, no rain, just darkness. And in the reflection of the glass, I wasn't alone. Someone stood behind me, wearing my jacket, holding a master key, and whispering, "Unit 37 is ready." I took the overnight shift at the emergency call center because it paid extra. Less traffic, fewer supervisors, mostly drunk calls and false alarms. At least, that's what they told me. The room was dim after midnight, just rows of cubicles glowing blue from computer screens. The air always smelled like burnt coffee and recycled air. By 2 a.m., the calls slowed down. 2:17 a.m. Line 3 lit up. No caller ID. That wasn't unusual. I put on my headset. "Emergency services, what's your location?" Silence. Then breathing. Slow. Shaky. "Hello?" I tried again. A whisper answered. "I don't have much time." My fingers hovered over the keyboard. "Okay, tell me where you are." A pause. Then the caller read out an address. My address. My apartment. I felt my stomach drop. "Sir, what is your emergency?" "They're going to say it was an accident." Cold spread through my chest. "Who is this?" The voice ignored the question. "It's 2:16 right now," he continued. I glanced at the corner of my screen. 2:18 a.m. "No," I said carefully. "It's 2:18. Not for me." The line crackled. "Please tell me what's happening," I said, forcing my voice steady. Another breath. "They're outside." My heart started pounding. "Who's outside?" "You are." The lights above my cubicle flickered. I pulled off one side of the headset and listened. The call center was silent. No one else talking. No keyboards. No coughing. Just quiet. I turned slightly in my chair. The rows behind me were empty, completely empty. My coworkers' desks were dark. I swallowed. "Sir," I whispered, "what do you mean I'm outside?" The voice grew clearer, closer. "I can see you through the window." "I don't have a window at my station. The call center is in the middle of the building, no exterior walls." "No, you can't," I said. A soft laugh came through the line. "I can see you standing in the parking lot." My blood ran cold. "I'm not in the parking lot," I said slowly. "I'm inside." A pause. Then, "Not anymore." The monitors in front of me flickered. For a split second my screen went black, and in the reflection, I saw myself standing outside in the rain. Holding a phone to my ear, I spun around. The room was still empty, dead silent. The caller started speaking faster now. "You left early tonight," he said. "You felt tired. You didn't tell anyone." I shook my head. "That's not true. You never made it home." Something sharp stabbed through my memory. Headlights, wet pavement, a red light. I gripped the edge of my desk. "Who are you?" I demanded. The voice broke slightly. "I'm you." The lights above me shut off, one by one, down the row until only my cubicle was lit. My screen switched to a live security feed. The parking lot outside the building, police lights flashing, an ambulance, and in the middle of it, a car wrapped around a light pole. My car. Paramedics pulling someone from the driver's seat. The timestamp on the footage read 2:16 a.m. The caller whispered, "They're about to say time of death." I couldn't breathe. The feed zoomed in. I saw my own face. Still. Eyes half open. Rain running down the windshield. "Why am I here?" I choked. Silence. Then, "You're still on the line." The audio in my headset changed. I could hear distant sirens, voices, a paramedic speaking. "Pulse is gone." The caller's breathing slowed. "I didn't want to be alone," he said quietly. The office behind me began to darken, the cubicles fading into shadow. "You can hang up," the voice continued, "but then you'll have to go." "Go where?" The screen glitched. The security feed disappeared, replaced with the call interface. Line 3. Call duration 00. No record. No trace. The overhead lights flickered back on. The room was normal again. Other operators were at their desks, typing, talking, like nothing had happened. I looked at the clock. 2:15 a.m. Line 3 lit up. No caller ID. My hands trembled as I answered. "Emergency services. What's your location?" Silence. Then breathing. Slow. Shaky. And I realized the call wasn't coming from outside. It was coming from me, trying to warn myself before 2:16.